All right, hello everyone. I've been away for a while. It is so good to be back. All right, so this is what you expect from me here. You're about to watch a conversation that we on this show think there should be more of on television. One like most people, most of you would have at dinner or over drinks without worrying about offending critics, constituents, political parties, or fans. Sometimes it gets heated, sometimes it is uncomfortable, and not everyone agrees, not all the time, but it's honest, it's authentic, and it's transparent. And again, that's what this show is about. That said, it has been quite a week for the head of the Democratic National Committee, Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's been accused of everything from leading a party that turns its back on God, to overshadowing the president's re-election bid, to flat out lying. So, with the DNC convention behind her, I invited her on to set the record straight, without talking points. She wasn't always happy with my questions, but they had to be asked. So here it is. Thanks for coming on this Saturday night. I know it's been a very busy time for you, and you know you've been at the center of some controversy. And I just want you to come on to set the record straight. Now that you've had a chance to look back, this isn't an ambush interview. I'm not trying. This isn't got you. I just want to get some clarity and see if you've had some clarity. So I want to start with some of the comments that were made on Monday to Jewish Democrats about Republicans and Israel. Specifically, a reference you made to the Israeli ambassador. Here's exactly what you said.
We know, and I've heard no less than Ambassador Michael Oren say this, that what the Republicans are doing is dangerous for Israel. They're undermining Israel's security by suggesting that the United States and Israel don't have anything other than a unique and close and special relationship.
So you have said that you accused the reporter of misquoting you. You said you didn't say it, but then in that clip you said it, and then you said I categorically deny saying it, but there it is. So how do you respond to that?
Okay, so Don, if you look at what the Examiner, which is a conservative blog site, so it's not surprising that they would deliberately misquote me. And I'll reiterate that they did deliberately misquote me. First, they took only the first line of what I said and then they cut it off. And so you haven't played the rest of what I said. Mm-hmm. And what they did was they reported that I said that Republican policies were dangerous for Israel. And actually, that's what Ambassador Oren commented on. Mm-hmm. I never said that Republican policies were dangerous for Israel. In fact, that's the opposite of what I always say. What I always say and what I said in that event, and it's very important that we understand that Israel should not be a political football. What the Republicans are doing is they are suggesting that there is daylight between the parties on Israel.
Okay, but
I didn't say their policies were dangerous for Israel. I said that what they're doing by trying to suggest that there's a difference between the parties in the United States, or that President Obama has less than a stellar record on Israel, is harmful to Israel because it undermines Israel in the eyes of her Arab neighbors and her enemies. Okay, so, that's what I said, and the Examiner misrepresented what I said.
So what you did say it on tape, but you said that it was taken out of context. But listen, the ambassador says, I categorically deny that I ever characterized Republican policies as harmful to Israel. He's saying, he's denying.
And I never said, no, Don, go back, you could play it again.
Yeah.
I did not say that Republican policies were dangerous for Israel. What I said was what the Republicans are doing, referring to their suggestion repeatedly that President Obama has less than a stellar record on Israel, which Israeli leadership has repeatedly said that Israel has no greater friend than President Obama. Mm-hmm. And I said that because they're using Israel as a political football, that what they're doing is harmful to Israel, not their policies.
You don't think that you inferred, though, that by saying that Ambassador Oren, it made it seem like you had spoken to Ambassador Oren and that he had said that exactly, but
Don,
you did
Ambassador
insinuate
Oren
that.
has said, and with all due respect, and I spoke to Ambassador Oren afterward, he told me that he was confident that I didn't say what I was accused of saying. His statement responds to a misquotation and a partial out of context statement that I supposedly made.
Okay.
I did not say, and I don't believe that Republican policies, in fact, saying that policies are different between the Republicans and the Democrats in the United States is harmful to Israel, and I didn't say it.
Do you regret
anything?
Do you regret anything that you have said, and would you say anything differently?
No, I would not.
You wouldn't say,
I regret
okay.
that the Examiner has repeatedly taken what I said out of context.
All right, let's move on.
If they had printed the entire quote, and if they had actually told Ambassador Oren what I actually said, I think his response would have been different.
All right, that's not it. Our conversation just getting started. Straight ahead, I asked about the Democrats' platform and why they had to revote on references to God in Jerusalem.
He insisted that they be reinserted to reflect his personal view.
I understand what you're saying.
Don, please let me finish.
I know,
please
but I understand what you're saying. But with all due, and I've heard this over and over and over again. More of my frank and honest conversation straight ahead. All right, welcome back, everyone. My conversation with Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz tonight, it was open and it was honest. We spent a lot of time discussing the Democratic convention, especially the party's decision to go back and add references to God and to Jerusalem to their official statement of beliefs. But the vote on these changes created its own set of problems. Here's more of my conversation. Let's talk about the Democratic platform.
Yes.
The convention delegates had to change the party platform this week to reinsert the language referencing God and reinstate the language recognizing Jerusalem as a capital of Israel. Let's listen to the revote.
I'll do that one more time. All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 have voted in the affirmative. The motion is adopted, and the platform has been amended as shown on the screen.
Okay, it's hard for me to tell, and I wasn't in the room, but from everyone, even people who were in the room, they said you couldn't tell if it was the ayes or the noes. And then what happened, the way that people perceive that the party wanted people to vote was already in the teleprompter. But here's the thing. When you talk to Democrats off camera, they will say, we screwed up about that language. What do you say about that as the head of the DNC now?
Here's the bottom line. When President Obama realized that there was an omission made on 2 items that were part of his personal belief, one, that we should return the reference to Americans being able to achieve their God-given potential, and 2, that Jerusalem is and will remain the capital of Israel. When he realized that those omissions were left out, he insisted that they be reinserted to reflect his personal view.
I understand what you're saying.
Don, please let me finish.
I know, but I understand what you're saying. But with all due, and I've heard this over and over and over again.
Well,
but with all due respect, what I'm asking you is, because these aren't things that are lightly for God and Jerusalem to be taken out of the platform. If you look at it had to be intentional to do it. You didn't have someone in the room when you were going over the platform. Hang on, let me finish. When you're going over the platform, especially right after the GOP convention, when there had been so much talk about God, so much talk about Israel, you're telling me that it was an oversight, especially, and honestly, coming from a Jewish American, you're going to sit here and tell me that that was an oversight? Shouldn't you be the one to make sure that that's not an oversight?
Don, our platform, which was adopted on Tuesday, is strongly pro-Israel and 100% pro-Israel. In fact, more hardline on preventing Iran from achieving a nuclear weapon than the Republican platform, because our platform said that the United States is committed, and the president's committed, to using all elements of instrumentation to prevent Iran from achieving a nuclear weapon. The Republican platform on that subject says all options are on the table. We already had a strong pro-Israel platform. We wanted to make sure, and President Obama wanted to make sure, that the platform reflected his personal view about Jerusalem being the capital of Israel and remaining the capital of Israel. That's my personal view as well. And the platform was amended to do that. It was an omission. And, in fact, when we went through the platform
wasn't that language in the platform before?
It was the language on Jerusalem was in the platform in 2008, and that reflected President Obama's personal view. And when he realized it had been omitted, he insisted that it be reinserted. And in fact, there was never any process. So as you're drafting this,
you don't do a cut and paste and with the platform from 2008 and now side by side, and no one looks at that and goes, "Oh, wait a minute! Come on, Congresswoman, don't you think people appreciate candor more than anything?"
Yes, and I don't appreciate you suggesting that I'm being anything less than candid. I am a proud pro-Israel Jewish woman the first Jewish woman to represent my state in Congress. I have a strong pro-Israel record, and the President of the United States, Barack Obama, is someone that I proudly support because he has a stellar record on Israel.
Okay.
He's consistently stood by Israel, and our platform reflects his personal view on Jerusalem. And there is nothing less than candor that I am conveying to you.
And I apologize. I did not mean that as a personal attack, and you're right on to come back at me and say that. So thank you. But I do think that people appreciate candor. Those are two things, though. I mean, if you're saying
believe me,
we didn't include...
I have never been accused of being anything less than candid. Directness is not my problem.
Well, I would say that is, over the last couple of weeks, there are people, I've read things that said, Debbie Wasserman Schultz will say anything, even if it's true or false, to prove her point.
You're right. There are right-wing Republicans that spend a lot of time trying to suggest that. I have a 20-year record of credibility, and I'm proud of my record, and it's one of the reasons that President Obama asked me to chair the Democratic National Committee.
Why was that in the prompter, about the two-thirds having voted in the affirmative? Why was it already in the prompter? Because we have overwhelming support for Jerusalem and our pro-Israel platform elements from the 6,000 delegates that were part of the Democratic National Convention. And when the chair, Mayor Villaraigosa, called the vote, the anticipation was that we would get that two-thirds vote, and that's how he heard it, and he called it that way. You know, much has been made in the media about the supposed discord. You know, when you have 6,000 delegates, when you hear, and I've been a legislator for 20 years, Don, so I can tell you, I know discord. Hearing a smattering of opposition when something's proposed, we don't do things that completely unanimously, and nor do we require unanimity in our party, unlike the Republican Party. The bottom line is, this week, we made sure that our party platform reflected President Obama's personal view on Jerusalem being the capital of Israel and remaining the capital of Israel. When Mitt Romney learned that his platform didn't reflect his personal view supposedly on abortion and there being exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, he did nothing. And did nothing to amend his platform. All right, okay.
That's the big difference and part of the clear choice that's going to be in front of voters over the next 60 days.
A little bit later on, we talk about this. Some people say that she has been overshadowing the president, the press that she's been getting, good and bad. We're going to talk to her about that. That's later. But first, there is a man in Virginia. So now my conversation tonight with Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz went beyond the usual political topics. We talked politics, of course, but I also asked her about her job as party chair, and critics, even in her own party, who say she's been making headlines for the wrong reasons. Let's talk about you. I see the reports. What is it?
Okay.
Let's see. Wasserman Schultz walks a tightrope. White House not happy with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Democrats are upset with her. That she's become a distraction, especially with the misquotes and making news in the wrong way. What do you say to that? Are you worried about your job? Does that concern you at all? Do you think that you have become more of a distraction to the Obama re-election process than a help?
Well, not only do I not think that, I know President Obama doesn't think that. I know that the senior advisors surrounding President Obama don't think that. They've all, when they've been asked on the record, have said that they have confidence in me. And the references that you're talking about have all been these anonymous, off-the-record, deep background commentary that, I mean, is sort of typical for the political process. And, that the right-wing conservative blogosphere has done a great job trying to fan the flames for. I'm focused on making sure, A, that I can do the best job that I possibly can representing my constituents in the 20th Congressional District here in South Florida, and focusing on making sure that I can help President Obama get reelected, win my home state of Florida, and help Democrats get elected up and down the ballot. And I'm proud of my service, both in Congress as well as at the Democratic National Committee. And I believe that President Obama, as well as his senior advisors, are as well.
Well, thank you for coming on. You come on, you answer the question.
Welcome.
Some people say, hey, she's not answering quite honestly, but you come on and you take it, and you do it with a smile. Thank you. I appreciate your candor.
Sure.
We are mixing things up a bit tonight for this next segment.